No barrier can now stay you from your sacred task. May All Mother protect you and sustain you. Stay true.
Well, I'm sure many of you have already enjoyed the delight, serene beauty, vast landscape and intriguing story Guerrilla Games have delivered with its brand new IP and second title for the PS4. Now, ahead of my full in-depth analysis that I'm just putting the finishing touches to, I wanted and like to split out the performance side into separate videos. Now, normally I cover these in my first contact videos. This time I played much of the game and tested all three options we have from the disc, the base PS4, the performance mode on the Pro and the full fat 2160p checkerboard Pro version. After having enough time to enjoy many hours of the game and in varied levels of combat, exploration and crafting, I feel this is a fair representation of just how good Decima is at keeping time across multiple hardware and modes. Along with answering this, all this eye candy comes at the cost of a solid performing title. Let's ride.
Yeah! 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 Ride! This Strider is fast!
So, kicking things off, we take the base PS4 version that represents a native 1920 by 1080 image at 30 FPS, and it is the game's target host from the get-go, something it achieves far more often than not. As you get to grips with your skills, surroundings and just what they hold, it keeps a firm grip on its 30Hz rate, rarely allowing the 33 millisecond times to skip. Now, like all versions and modes, this is capped at 30 with an equally firm grip on VSync, so we always get a full frame or no new frame at all. Tearing would just lower the game's sky-high image quality, with general play never feeling anything but as polished and solid as the presentation throughout. So, can the game dip at all then, you may ask? A gigantic open world, physics-based simulation, highly detailed enemies with a huge quantity on screen at once. Surely it can buckle. Well, it should come as no surprise that yes, it does. Now, as I play on hard, I merely mention this because many reviewers etc. do not, and they use easy mode, which most of the time puts far less strain on more than just the player. Now, these results as of this may be slightly better for you depending on the mode you play. As you can see, in battle it can drop beyond its frame time, rarely ever more than the next refresh rate of 16 milliseconds, and 99% of the time you would not notice these rare and fleeting dips. Now, once in some quieter areas surrounded by NPCs, longer views, texture filtered floors and more, then we get the most consistent and prolonged dips, equaling the worst we get in combat down to a low of 26 FPS. Now again, I must stress these are very rare and do not impact gameplay at all. The game is pushing a great deal of detail and triangles in any given scene, along with a high sample post effects, more you can learn of in my analysis. Now, ultimately the PS4 version is 95% of the time a rock solid visual, audio and performing title, and you will see more on that later in the heavier battles and crowded segments. It can wobble ever so slightly, but never to the point that it ruins or disrupts gameplay. A few may notice, I am of course one of them, picking out these tested sections quite easily, but most will not, and even more will care less, as in the final results are as impressive as the pixel quality being pushed here. So, moving on, and with law clearly written stating that the Pro can never ever, under any circumstances, perform worse than its older brother, the pressure is really on for its younger sibling. Now, of course, this is written absolutely nowhere, and least of all controllable, let alone enforceable in any form outside of a directly controlled environment, something which games rarely fall within. But the performance option added after the day one patch on the Pro shows signs that they are aware that the above issues may bother some. First thing is, this still targets the same 30Hz rate and never exceeds this, but with the option being added, you would at least expect this to be a requirement somewhere, wouldn't you? And indeed it is. Although very minor to the point of being within margin of error, it can dip to the same lows as the base PS4, but this is at a higher resolution of course, and maybe slightly lower. Coming out within 0.1 of a frame average in like-for-like tested scenes, we have the answer. The full fat Pro performs very close to the base model with almost identical performance lows, and this means you get an even more impressive package that removes all the signs of aliasing pretty much whatever display you have. This does have super sampling or downsampling on a 1080p display. With an equal level of performance cost, give or take. Now again, the crowd-heavy sections, bombastic fight sequences, or occasional streaming CPU hiccups can still occur with the same level of interest for you if you are so inclined. Now these are by far the worst sections I could find, stressing the engine to show any areas for concern, and I can say that base PS4 or Full Fat Pro, these are small, fleeting, but present nonetheless, which may hamper a handful of people's enjoyment of the title. Lucky then that they have seen fit to include a second mode that should appease the width of its audience. Hidden in the game's visual menu on the Pro is a favour resolution or performance mode that allows you to make that choice. With this performance mode enabled like an alloy equipped perk, we do see a flat line across the graph at all times, right? Pretty much, yes. If we take the crowd-filled sections that before we could see prolonged dips into the mid-20s, now run without a hiccup here at the cost of the vast resolution boost, but I cover more in my analysis. Now, not all dips are resolved, with some coming down to CPU or maybe some simple culling issues that are repeatable in tests. Now these are no means common, but these two sections here across many that I've tested I could repeat, and as you can see, even here when they are solved, it is at no extra cost being visible to the screen or the player. Now streaming issues are also reduced, now only having 2 dips across 4 minutes of test here, with before both base and pro saw around 6 times that amount. It's still very minor, but proof that the mode is not a placebo option. The bigger and comparable battles again demonstrate this increase to its most poignant, with rare lows of 26 here now removed, with a reduction to heavy alpha effects and bandwidth savings from the reduction in pixel count also delivering a 13% improvement in this one section. 3 drop frames versus 22 on the Pro and 16 on the base. It should please anyone that would have had an issue with these very small but fleeting drops. Now this is a very welcome and applauded extra by the team. With such a strong performing title on the whole, many would have left these small sections as they are, but instead they improved and found changes to make that balance the game more in the favour of a near rock solid title that this mode delivers. For me, the IQ improvements are appreciated more than these dips, and they can never really affect your playtime. Some later sections, too spoiler here to show, can also see heavier and longer dips that this mode also helps resolve, and in the end it should only be a positive that this work was done and at launch, so no one misses out enjoying this rich open world RPG exactly as they want, with a preference that suits all, performance or visual quality. The trade-offs are very minimal, but you can make the choice yourself. Now I will leave you with a small battle and a taste of my analysis that is still to come, which will be up on my channel and website soon, link to follow below and in the top right of this video. And as always, if you enjoyed this or anything else that I've put together, then please support the channel, myself and everything else that I do by subscribing, liking and sharing where appropriate. Leave all your thoughts and feedback below, it always helps me improve my quality of my channel, and I love to chat to you guys and girls. And on that note, I'll be off to enjoy some more treats with Aloy. You guys and girls take care, and I'll catch you on the next one.
It's down!